my son. The day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas.
Today we're diving into the One with the Light build guide, but first let's take a step back in time. This isn't just any build guide, it's also a culmination of a journey from the last 2 videos I've made. We've seen the chilling power of frost, chaos and shadow that the Lich King himself channels. We've walked the shadows of the Banshee Queen herself as a Dark Ranger under the night skies. But now we circle back in time to find out if we can wield the light and become one with it and stand the test that he could not. One with the Light is a build that's been on the top of the popularity list this season, and for good reason. It slaps. And of course it's easy to get into. Today I'm going to show you my version of it, which does require you to have a few cards and abilities, but if you're a new player and don't have a ton of unlocked cards yet, don't fret. This boom got you covered. I've made a link to a very well written beginner's guide for One with the Light made by a guy named Original Shiro. You can find the link in the description for it. But without further ado, let's go shine a light on our build for today. As per usual, we're starting strong with a glimpse of our chosen abilities at level 1, our card as superstars and the talents that make this build truly divine. Our level 1 lineup includes Blessing of Might for that strength and agility boost, also making you beefier than the Tauren at a bodybuilding contest. Arcane Intellect because who doesn't want more spell power? It's like being the brainy kid in the class, but with magic. Crusader Strike's our go-to single target ability, slicing through the enemies like hot knife through butter. And Charge, because life is too short to walk and don't be a slow boomer like me. Get into the fray fast, okay? The carded abilities are where it gets spicy. Divine Storm is our bread and butter AoE, and whenever you pair it with Seal of Command, you're going to rain damage like it's going out of style. Exorcist Slash is nice to have, but it's definitely not mandatory. If you don't have it, slot in something like Arcane Power instead. Felon Fused Weapon is the cherry on the top. It's not a must-have, but it's really going to give you extra boost in the damage department. If you don't have it, don't fret. Flame Tongue Weapon is a solid stand-in. Now for the talent of the show. Consecrated Strikes turns your Crusader Strike and Divine Storm into an AoE fiesta, with a 50% chance to drop Consecrated Ground that increase you and your allies' strength by 5%. It's like throwing a party every time you attack. Mental Quickness give you more bang for your buck with spell power, perfect for when you want to flex those magical muscles, and we're getting into the gear section a bit later. Righteous Vengeance ensure that whenever we also crit, it's not just a hit, it's also leave a lingering dot for 8 seconds, dealing 40% of the damage that you dealt with the crit. And Consecrated Weapon is like having a cake and eating it too. It gives us more strength whenever we stand in Consecrated Ground, and our melee abilities have a chance to hit again for extra damage, and Seal of Command love this because it can trigger from it. And lastly, One with the Light. This is where we turn the dial up to 11, sacrificing physical power to make Crusader Strike and Divine Storm scale with holy power. It's not just a build, it's a light show. And lastly, for the bodybuilder contest, of course, for the flexibility picks. We got Direct Command. I choose to go with this, and it can spice up your Seal of Command, giving it a bit of extra damage. Seal of Pure just because more damage is always nice to have. Two-handed weapon specialization gives you more damage with a single two-handed, and it also increases the Seal of Command damage. And lastly, Vengeance is a stacking buff that can give you up to 15% increased holy damage when it's fully stacked. You basically have this permanent whenever you get 1 rank in it. So, as mentioned, I would go for Direct Command, Seal of Pure, two-handed weapon specialization and Vengeance in that order depending on what you have. And yeah, that's it for the abilities and talents that you want to go with. Moving on to the Mystic Enchants. These are the final touches that elevate our setup. We're going for 3 Sanctity of Battle, 3 Wizard's Divine Storm, 3 Lunar Guidance, 3 Vanquishing Storms, 3 Seals of Pure, a Holy Power, and Strength and Faith. For the gearing itself, we're going for a full Judgment set right here. It's just the Paladin tier 2, and of course the higher you can get it in tier, like Heroic, Mythic, Ascended, the better. Other than that, you really want to focus on spell power, as of my understanding, for this kind of build, and a bit of attack power here. And of course, always make sure that you're hit capped so you don't miss any of your abilities. And for weapon of choice, go with Flame Wrath, as you see right here. It really is the most undisputed best weapon that you can pick up for this kind of build this season, so make sure to grab it or buy it with a few mythic coins at the vendor. So that's it for the gearing. Moving on to the oh so well known wish list for what to look out for while leveling and while you're rolling this build. And as always, we're not going to be covering the rare and the uncommon section. We're moving straight into the epic abilities that you want to have a look out for and the legendary abilities. Then we're moving on to the epic talents and the legendary talents that you want to have a look out for. First of all, we got Hammer Wrath, then we got Exorcism and Execution Sentence. There's so many synergies that scales very well with any of these three abilities in our talents already. So make sure you instant lock them whenever you get them. Other than that, we're moving on to the Holy Wrath. It's going to be a great AoE, and you have so many things that synergize so well with it, especially if you pick up Purifying Power. So just make sure you pick this up, because it's really going to help you in the AoE department. Twisted Mind is just more spell power, more damage, and it's so great. Judgment of Light is just a generic great ability to have, especially because there's so many things that scale so well with it, and there are a few talents that make our Crusader Strike and Seals hit even harder when we attack judged targets. If you're struggling with mana, get Judgment of Wisdom instead of Judgment of Light. And lastly, for the abilities, Arcane Power. It's gonna boost your spell damage, and it's just gonna be amazing for the build itself. For the talent section, we got Sanctity of Battle, Powerful Divine Storm, the Art of War, Fanaticism, and Holy Power, which are just generic great abilities, talents to really pick up. They're just all generic great talents to have, and you should instant lock them at any given point whenever you get them. You really want Fanaticism to have 3 out of 3 before it really starts to shine up. And for the legendary talents, Seals of Pure, two-handed weapons visualization, and Vengeance, if you didn't pick them up in your picked up abilities or talent card section, well, this is the time to do it. They're so great, and they're really something you should instant lock. Other than that, make sure you get generic holy damage, you get intellect as spell power converting talents, you get critical strike rating, you get flat stats like strength, intellect, then you're getting flat damage in general, if not for holy power, and then you get your proc talents, and of course for the last one, you want at least one of the increase your spell critical strike damage up to 200%, because you are using a couple of spells like Judgment, Holy Wrath, Hammer of Wrath, Exorcism once in a while, so it just helps scaling those talents. And as for the actual gameplay, how do you actually play this build? Well, it's kind of stupid simple actually. You just charge in. If there's more than one enemy, well, then you Divine Storm and you use Holy Wrath. For single target, you start Judgment, and then you just start spamming Crusader Strike and Divine Storm whenever it's off cooldown, and voila, you now know how to play one with the light. That's it. Like, really. It's so simple, even I as a boomer can play the build. It's a 3-button build, really. Moving on to the what can you expect from this build. I have spent around 100,000 mark on the build that you're seeing in the background here, running Mana Storms, and it's chunking away. I can stably, if I go to the target dummy, lay on around 8k single target damage and around 16 to 20k AoE on the multiple dummies. Of course, this is only going to get higher in the actual rates that you're going to be in, because you're going to be buffed up and everything. So that's what the 100 to like 150k marks can actually bring you, with a normal and mythic 0 to 5 gear can actually take you to. Of course, the better gear you have, the more you're going to scale. So this is just going to go up from here. The highest I've seen a one with the light build go up to was just over 20k single target DPS, so it's really one of those that can scale to the skies and beyond, and there's a good reason it's been very popular for this season. I'm also going to make a link to a community driven guide where you can go in and you can check out location for not just cards for this build, but basically for any cards that's known to be found in the open world that you can get as normal cards. This both includes abilities and talents, and that also should help some people for my other builds if you're missing, and just go collect them. Like, it's really great to just, the more you have those, the more builds you can make. So go catch them all. And there you have it, folks. Those are the abilities, the talents, the gameplay that you should keep your eyes peeled on for while leveling and rolling and playing this build. That also concludes our epic journey through these past 3 videos, wrapping up where it all began. Hopefully this one with the light build inspired you to light up the subscribe button like never before. Trust me, you won't want to miss the future content we have in store, which is guaranteed to kick the gameplay up a notch. Up next, we got 1 or 2 build guides before we diving headfirst on Friday, March the 29th into Path of Exile Necropolis League. So stay tuned. I'm gonna be live streaming a ton there. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay legendary.